Flashcards are an immensely popular way to learn languages, and for good reason. However, most people actually use them incorrectly. There's a much better, more efficient way for you to be using these. My name is Jackson from Let's Learn Languages, and today I'm going to teach you how to hack your brain by introducing you to the wonderful world of spaced repetition. But first of all, what is spaced repetition? Spaced repetition is the practice of actively recalling information as soon as you forget it. This was an idea created by German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus in 1885 in a book titled Memory. In his book, Dr. Ebbinghaus referred to something called the forgetting curve, which is crucial in understanding and applying spaced repetition. The forgetting curve is a line describing how much information has been forgotten since learning the new material. The forgetting curve can fluctuate based on the individual, the material that they're learning, and the amount of times that the information has been recalled. Ideally, you would want each repetition to occur when you can only remember some of the information. This infographic perfectly describes an ideal situation where a learner is using spaced repetition. As you can see, the individual doesn't practice the material until they have about an 80% retention of the material. It is immediately obvious that the forgetting curve becomes more and more gradual as the material is studied more and more. So according to this infographic, is 80% the magic number? Well, it varies by source. In my opinion, generally around the 40% to 30% range could prove to be more efficient, but this is all speculation. Now, how effective is this strategy actually? Well, according to Gabriel Weiner, an individual practicing flashcards for about 30 minutes per day for 4 months can learn up to 3,600 new words with 90 to 95% accuracy. To put that into perspective, 50% of most languages are comprised of only 100 to 200 words. Absolutely ridiculous numbers. 3,600 words. So how exactly can I go and apply this to my life right now? Well, first of all, you need to be extremely disciplined, as studying every day is not an easy task. But if you do so, you will reap great rewards. In order to practice spaced repetition, you need to have flashcards. You can either do online flashcards or in-person flashcards. For online flashcards, I recommend Anki as the service of choice because it uses an algorithm called SM2. SM2 is an algorithm designed specifically for spaced repetition, and it is dependent on how long ago you studied the material and how easily the answer came to you. With all that said, I do recommend trying physical flashcards at first. I don't know if it's just like a boomer moment for me, but I feel like that if you write it down, you have some personal attachment to it, and you're stricter with yourself in terms of what you get right and what you do not. And I also feel like you're more likely to do them because they mean more to you because you went through the time and effort to create pretty little flashcards for yourself. Also, another tip when implementing spaced repetition, I find it extremely helpful to put away cards that I know I have on lock. For example, if you study a language for 2 months, you're gonna know the words you, I, me, like the back of your hand. So is there really any reason to study them? Probably not, because A, you'll be using them constantly, and B, you'll be exposed to them constantly. Spaced repetition is perfect for things that are new and unfamiliar to you, but could come up at some point. With all that said, what do you actually put on the flashcards? What kind of information should you put on there? I've come up with 5 different things that you could put on flashcards. Single phrases, letters, words, pronunciations, and grammar rules. For single words, I recommend devising up different categories for different types of words you would use. For example, I would have a list of flashcards for a beach-themed adventure, right? I would put things down like rock, sand, beach, water, to swim, that sort of stuff. Cooking would be another great example just because there are so many words to learn in the food world, and knowing utensils will go a long way. The idea is you can do this with many different aspects of your life, and you can slowly accumulate a vocabulary of a variety of different topics. For phrases, I recommend creating very general blanket statements that you can customize very easily to fit the situation. Some great phrases to know would be like, can you help me with, I am going to, how do you, that sort of thing. The idea is you can tack an idea to the end of the phrase and after studying the beginning of the phrase for so long, the first part will just come naturally, and the rest of your brain power will be devoted to only the part that you need to devote brain power to, because obviously you have the beginning of the phrase memorized. It clicks like that. Pronunciations are very hit or miss. It is entirely dependent on the language. If you have a phonetically consistent language, there's no reason to practice pronunciations. However, if you do not, they are very important and should be practiced regularly. Learning letters is a great use of spaced repetition at the beginning of your studying, but as you become more familiar with the language, these will all soon become redundant. So if you do choose to study letters, just know the studying won't last very long. Lastly, we have grammar rules. I do believe that simple grammar rules can be learned using spaced repetition. However, some of the more nuanced grammar rules, or the grammar rules that are more up to interpretation, might be best left to an instructor or teacher. A great grammar rule to use spaced repetition for is verb conjugation. Verb conjugation will always come up, and it is especially handy when there's a weird verb tense used, because you will have already memorized it. Overall, it's extremely important to remember that learning a language is a long-term commitment, so your studying habits must reflect that. Therefore, spaced repetition is a great way to start studying a language for both short-term and long-term results if used correctly. That's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching, and I really look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Much love. Ciao, ciao.